Hey, it's Adrian, and today I just got the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, so I'm just going to do a very quick unboxing video and first impressions since this is my first Fold device. So you have a Type-C charging cable, SIM eject tool. So I went with the beige since I'm usually a fan of, white devices, or as close to white as I can get. So taking a first look at the device, so it's a really nice looking device. It actually doesn't feel too big. Even though it's completely unfolded, it's easy for me to just hold that with one hand. And I have about medium-sized hands, but I'm a big fan of the color actually, and I like that that color carries over to the aluminum frame on the sides. But just looking at it, so we have a 3-camera layout at the back there, flash. On the side, we have the fingerprint sensor, volume up and down, and an area for antennas. At the top, there's 3 microphones, a speaker, SIM card tray at the other side, and then at the bottom, the last speaker, microphone, and Type-C charging port. Now that I've looked at it unfolded, I'm just going to fold it. And that was a pretty fluid experience. So once it's folded, you could see the Samsung logo is on the side there. And that's about how thick it is in total. And you can see there's a bit of a gap where the hinge is, and then that tapers off. But it's not too bad. Like, just looking at it on video, I can tell you it looks bigger than it actually feels in the hand. So just in my hand, and again, I don't have really big hands. I consider them medium. This is really manageable. It's like, it feels very pocketable and easy to carry around, easy to manage. Now comparing to the S22 Ultra, which is what I was currently using, or my current phone, you can see, so it's a little bit shorter. Now in terms of thickness, obviously there's a big difference. This looks about twice as thick. If I compare just one of the panels, you can see it's almost as thick as the S22 Ultra. Now in terms of weight, this definitely feels a little bit heavier, but I wouldn't say it's a very noticeable difference. And I do prefer heavier phones, so I think this will be quite fine. So this comes in at 229 grams, or about half of a pound. And this comes in at 263 grams, and that's roughly like 0.58, so you can round up 0.6 pounds. So this phone has 5 cameras in total. You have 3 in the back, 1 on the front cover, and then you have another under display one on the main panel. So I gotta say that I'm actually surprised at how well I like this form factor. I was a bit skeptical about these fold devices and thinking it would be kind of clunky or cumbersome, but I'm actually pretty happy with how this feels in the hand. This is obviously wider, but I've gotten used to this, even though my hands aren't the biggest, and I can easily manipulate this and control it. And this just feels way more manageable in terms of rotating it and manipulating it. So far it's a pretty good first impression. Looking at the screen on the Fold 4, you can see there's a pretty big difference between this screen and the S22 Ultra. This is much narrower and a little bit shorter, but it's still a very usable screen. Obviously everything looks a little bit smaller, but it's really easy to access the entire screen because of that. And if I went ahead and I just clicked on a website, it's still easy enough for me to read the information. And I do have my font size set small, that I kind of like it that way. Obviously I can increase that if I like, but yes, going into the main screen here, you can see everything's going to be much bigger. Much more easy to read, but this is still perfectly usable to me, especially because I'm used to smaller font sizes. One of my favorite things so far about having such a large screen is I can now take a look at my desktop screen on the laptop right on the phone. So the screen is actually decently big enough that I can actually, access my laptop screen remotely on here. And if I want, I can actually zoom in to make it bigger and more usable. So that's pretty handy because I could be out of the house or somewhere else, and as long as I have a mouse and keyboard paired with my phone, or I could just use the built-in functionality that comes with this app, I can access my files or work remotely. When it comes to using the phone for content, you can open the phone up this way and just set it down and watch it vertically. If you don't like that, you can also angle it and view it horizontally. You just have to be careful because if you recline this back too much, the phone will have a tendency to tip over because it's heavier at the back here. When I open Amazon, you can see it doesn't take up the entire screen because it's set to 4:3 in the app settings. So if I go into that, you can see right now Amazon Shopping, it's set to 4:3. I could go ahead and switch that to 16:9, and if I open it back again, it's that aspect ratio. And notice I can use the taskbar to just make those changes really quickly, but I'm going to force it to full screen and take a look at what that looks like. And you also have the option to just automatically rotate it, to suit whatever you like. When it comes to the crease, you can see depending on how I angle the phone, you can make out that it's there. However, it's not that big of a deal like I thought it would be, because most of the times when I'm scrolling through or flicking through, my thumb is nowhere up there, so it hasn't been a big issue for me. So right away you can see one of the main benefits of having a fold device or any type of device with a wide screen. So on a traditional phone like the S22 Ultra, you have all of the settings listed vertically. You go into it, make whatever changes, then you come back out and you go into the next section. So that works fine, and I'm really used to that. However, with this device, you could see I have all of the settings on the left side there, but because the panels are split in half, I have the corresponding settings for each section. So I can just go through each, and then it opens the corresponding settings at the side. So it's a huge time saver because you're not clicking, into it and then going back. Everything is right here as you scroll through. In the settings, you can see there's an option here that says continue apps on the cover screen, and you can specify whichever apps you want that to apply to. So right now I'm going to use the taskbar, which is always on. And if I click on Instagram, I can go ahead and scroll through here. But then if I decide that I want to close it, I can continue that on the front screen. So that's a pretty cool feature to have. Now under display, there's an option called screen zoom, and you can see now it's set to multi-view, which is where you're going to have those vertical panels. Now if I go to standard view and I just hit back, you can see now it acts like a normal Android phone would, where it's just everything's stacked vertically. In the same section, when you're in multi-view, you can see right now I can see up the display before I have to scroll. But if I change the zoom here, it shows me a little bit more information. Splitting the screen is pretty easy, so you can see right now I have the browser open, but if I press and hold on this photos icon, I can just drag it up there, and then I can also adjust how big that I want it to appear on the screen. And similarly, say I wanted to, open my phone to make a quick phone call while I'm looking at a photo, I can just drag it over in the corner there, and you can really multitask easily. Another neat thing that you can do is you could go into the app screen, and right now I have it to 5.6. Obviously you can change these around, but this is one of the benefits of having such a wide screen, is that you can just show as much information as possible. There is also an option in the settings to use the fingerprint scanner to do gesture controls. So if I swipe down, you can see I can pull down these quick access panels and just move it out of the way. When it comes to taking photos, right away, I'm a big fan of having this really large display. It makes it much easier to frame things and check focus. So you can see I can do an ultra wide shot, the standard shot, and then the telephoto mode. I'm just gonna go back to the standard main camera, and I'm just gonna take a couple of photos here. So let's take a look at the photo I just took, and you can see that's an excellent photo. Obviously I have ideal lighting conditions here, but that's a great photo for just a quick snap. I didn't really take time to frame it, and that's good enough where I can just pop it into Photoshop and use that as a thumbnail. Taking a look at video performance, so you can see these are the frames per second and resolutions you can shoot. So I'm going to leave it at 4K 60. You also have an option for 8K or 4K 30. Now, just going to do a quick video. And you can see that's very smooth, very fluid, and it's not bad in terms of stabilization. So in the photo app, there's a really cool icon all the way in the corner here, and you can see it shows whatever you have taken. So if I take a bunch of photos of the mouse, you can see it just automatically populates them here. And this is really handy because as you're taking photos, you can determine if you got the perfect shot or if you need to take reshoots. There is also an icon at the top here, and if I tap that, it says cover screen preview on. And what that allows you to do is as you fold the phone, it's going to now display that at the front, whatever the rear cameras are pointed at, and then you can go ahead and just use it like that. Looking at that under display camera, so you can see it's quite visible when it's on a black background. However, if I go into my settings, you can see it's still there, but it's much less pronounced. Quick sound test. So both phones are set to 100% volume and they're on the same track. So So the sound coming out of the Z Fold 4, it sounds much better than the S22 Ultra, and the S22 Ultra does sound good, but it sounds a bit fuller on the Z4, and the bass also seems a bit better too. When it comes to unlocking the phone, you have the traditional stuff like face unlock, pin numbers, patterns, but you also have a side-mounted fingerprint reader, and it's pretty fast. So you can see as soon as I press it, it turns the phone on, and quite responsive. Alright guys, so I think I'm going to leave the video here. I'll be doing a follow-up video where I do a full review of this phone so I can go into the camera performance, battery life, and just general usability. Now, if you have anything you want me to check for specifically, just leave it down in the comments down below. And if you guys are interested in seeing how this phone stacks up with the S22 Ultra, let me know. I may try to incorporate a bit more comparisons in the full review if enough of you are interested in that. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.